I accidentally said a word in her language. Do you want to marry me? She said. It was an ordinary afternoon when I first met her, or at least I thought it was going to be ordinary. I had always been someone who liked to try new things, so when the opportunity came up to travel abroad, I jumped at it. I had always been curious about different cultures, different languages, and the people who spoke them. So there I was, standing in the middle of a busy marketplace in a foreign country, surrounded by colorful stalls, the smell of unfamiliar spices in the air, and the sounds of people chatting in a language I barely understood. It felt exhilarating and intimidating at the same time. I had been practicing a few words of the local language in preparation for this trip, mostly common phrases like hello, thank you, and goodbye. But I had no illusions. I knew I wouldn't be fluent, not by a long shot. Still, I was determined to give it a try. I had even memorized a few words that I thought would come in handy, words that could help me make a good impression. That's when I saw her. She was standing at one of the food stalls, smiling as she spoke to the vendor. There was something captivating about the way she carried herself, the way she seemed so at ease in this busy, bustling place. She wasn't like the other people around me, and I found myself drawn to her. Maybe it was her confidence, or maybe it was the way she seemed so completely comfortable in a language that was foreign to me. Either way, I felt compelled to approach her. I walked up to the stall, trying to keep my nerves in check. I had practiced this moment in my head 100 times. I would greet her in the local language, and if I stumbled, I would smile and keep going. Simple, right? Excuse me, I said in the most polite tone I could muster. Hello, how are you? She turned toward me, her eyes lighting up as if she had been expecting someone to speak to her. She smiled warmly, and I could feel my heart race a little faster. I wasn't sure if it was because I was speaking in a foreign language or because she was just so easy to talk to. I'm good, thank you, she replied in perfect English, which caught me off guard. I had been so focused on using my limited knowledge of the local language that I hadn't expected her to speak English at all. I chuckled nervously, realizing that I had probably made things a little awkward with my attempt at speaking her language, but she didn't seem bothered. In fact, she seemed amused. You're not from around here, are you? She asked, still smiling. No, I admitted. I'm from far away, just trying to learn a little of your language. She raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Really? What made you want to learn? I hesitated for a moment, then shrugged. Curiosity, I guess. I've always thought different languages are fascinating, and I wanted to be able to connect with the people here. She nodded thoughtfully, and for a moment there was a comfortable silence between us. It wasn't uncomfortable, though. It was the kind of silence that happens when two people are content just being in each other's presence. I took a deep breath and decided to try again. I was determined to make a better impression this time. I learned a word today, I said. I thought it would be helpful. I smiled awkwardly, trying to keep the conversation going. It's a word that means yes, right? Yes, that's right. I felt a little proud of myself for getting the word right, even though it was a simple one. But then, as if my mouth had a mind of its own, I added a few more words. I wasn't thinking, just blurting out what I thought I had learned. I want to marry you, I said, the words coming out before I could stop them. I immediately froze. My face turned bright red as I realized what I had just said. I had meant to say something along the lines of yes or I agree, but the word I had learned had a completely different meaning in this language. Instead of simply agreeing, I had accidentally proposed to her. Her reaction was immediate. She blinked a few times, her eyes widening in surprise. Then, to my complete shock, she smiled and asked, Do you want to marry me? My mind was racing, trying to process what had just happened. I had messed up so badly, and now she was joking about it. At least, I hoped she was joking. I laughed nervously, trying to play it off. No, I mean, I didn't mean that, I stammered, my heart beating faster with embarrassment. I just meant for the laugh. It's okay, she said, still smiling. I know what you meant. Don't worry about it. I was mortified, but her kindness helped ease my nerves. She didn't seem upset, and I couldn't help but feel a little relieved. She had turned an awkward moment into something light-hearted, and I appreciated that more than I could put into words. For the next few minutes, we talked, though I was still feeling embarrassed. We laughed about the mishap, and she shared a little more about herself. It turns out she wasn't just any local, she was a traveler too, someone who had visited many countries and loved meeting new people. She told me she admired my attempt to speak her language, even if it had led to an unintended proposal. The more we talked, the more I realized how easy it was to talk to her. There was something natural about our conversation despite my earlier blunder. I hadn't expected it, but there was a connection there, something that went beyond the initial awkwardness. As we said our goodbyes, she gave me one last smile. Next time, she said, try to save the marriage proposals for when you are a little more sure of your words. I smiled back, grateful for her understanding. I'll do my best, I replied, and with that we parted ways. Looking back on that day, I realized how much that small mistake had changed everything. What had started as an embarrassing moment had led to something unexpected. That accidental proposal had opened the door to a connection I hadn't been looking for but had grown to appreciate. In a strange way, it was that very mistake that brought us together, making me believe that sometimes the best things happen when you least expect them. I had thought about our encounter over and over after I left the market that day. I couldn't help but replay the moment in my head, especially the part where I accidentally blurted out the words that no one would normally say to a stranger. I want to marry you. I cringed just thinking about it. But as much as I embarrassed myself, something about it felt different. Something about her made it feel like it wasn't such a big deal. Sure, it was awkward at first, but she had laughed it off so easily. In fact, the more I thought about it, the more I realized how natural our conversation had been. Despite my nerves and my language mistake, we had connected. That wasn't something that happened every day. A few days passed and I found myself walking through the market again, hoping to bump into her. I didn't know why. Maybe it was because I wanted to redeem myself, to say something that wouldn't make me sound ridiculous. Maybe I just wanted to see her again, to talk more, to laugh more. The truth was, I hadn't really been expecting anything to come of our brief encounter, but the thought of seeing her again made my heart race just a little faster, and then, as luck would have it, I saw her standing near the same food stall. She was smiling at the vendor, her hands gesturing as she spoke. The same warmth I had felt the first time I saw her was still there. She didn't notice me at first, so I hesitated, but then something inside me told me that I should go for it. I took a deep breath and walked over. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual as I approached her. She looked up and her face lit up in recognition. Oh, hey, I didn't expect to see you again so soon. She smiled that warm smile that had first drawn me in. I know, right? I couldn't stay away, I said, feeling a little sheepish. She raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Oh, really? Why is that? I shrugged, playing it off. Well, I was hoping you might forgive me for my proposal. She laughed, and I couldn't help but laugh too. Her laugh was genuine. infectious, and it made everything feel lighter. You are lucky I'm in a forgiving mood, she teased. But you could have made it a bit more formal. Maybe next time, huh? I smiled, relieved. It was good to know that she wasn't holding my mistake against me. Next time, is that a promise? I asked, genuinely curious. She seemed to think about it for a moment before answering. Maybe depends on how well you do with the language this time, she said, a playful glint in her eyes. I laughed, feeling more at ease. I'll try my best, I said, looking for a way to continue the conversation. But in all seriousness, I really want to learn more. The language, I mean. You said I had potential. Maybe you could teach me a few words. Sure, I'd be happy to. It'll take time though. You can't rush language. I nodded, eager to learn to know more, not just about her language, but about her. We spent the next few minutes chatting about all sorts of things life, culture, food. I had started to learn more than I expected. And the more we talked, the more comfortable I became, not just with the language, but with the idea of spending more time with her. From that moment on, we made it a point to meet up whenever we could. Sometimes it was at the market, sometimes at a cafe. We'd talk about everything and nothing at all. Slowly but surely, I began to understand her language more. But it wasn't just the words that I was learning, it was her too. Her humor, her kindness, the way she saw the world. I found myself looking forward to our conversations, to those small moments when we would share a smile or a laugh. It was clear that something was developing between us, though neither of us had explicitly said it out loud. We didn't need to. There was a connection, something unspoken that we both felt. It was strange how quickly it all happened. But I was beginning to realize that it wasn't just the language that had drawn me in. It was her, her energy, her spirit, the way she made everything seem a little more colorful, warm. One day we were sitting at a small cafe, sipping tea and talking about our favorite books, when she suddenly turned to me, a serious expression on her face. She began, her voice soft. I wasn't kidding when I said you could have made the proposal a bit more formal. I looked at her confused. What do you mean? I'm just saying, if you really meant it, maybe you should try again. My heart skipped a beat. For a moment, I couldn't speak. The idea of actually proposing, of really saying those words again scared me, but at the same time, I couldn't deny that I felt something, something deep, something that had grown over the weeks we had spent together. I cleared my throat, trying to find the right words. Are you serious? I asked, my voice betraying my nerves. She nodded. I'm just saying you never know unless you try. I stared at her for a moment, her face open and sincere. Maybe it was because of all the time we had spent together. Maybe it was because of the way she had so easily forgiven my earlier mistake. Whatever it was, something clicked. I wasn't nervous anymore. I didn't need to rush. This wasn't about a mistake or a joke. It was about us. I think I'd like to try, I said, my voice steady now. She smiled and I could see the warmth in her eyes. Good, but just remember, it has to be more than just words. I nodded, understanding completely. This wasn't about just saying the right thing, it was about meaning it. It was about connection, trust, and something deeper than a simple proposal. So, in that moment, I knew what I had to do. I didn't have all the words yet, but I had something better. I had the courage to try, to take that next step to see where it could lead. And maybe, just maybe, that accidental proposal wasn't so far off after all. It had started as a mistake, but it was turning into something real, something beautiful, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take us. Days passed, and the connection between us seemed to grow stronger with each meeting. What had started as an awkward moment, an accidental proposal, had somehow blossomed into something that felt meaningful. I couldn't quite explain it, but I knew something special was happening between us. The more time we spent together, the easier it became to talk, to share our thoughts, to laugh without hesitation. It wasn't just the language anymore. It was the way she made me feel understood, the way she made me feel at home, even when I was in a place so different from where I grew up. I began to notice things about her, little things that made her unique. The way she smiled when she told a story, how she always took the time to listen, truly listen when someone spoke. She had a gentle way of engaging with the world, but also a fierce passion for the things she cared about. She made me want to be a better version of myself. And the more I learned about her, the more I realized how much I wanted to keep learning, not just about her, but about everything that made her who she was. One afternoon, we found ourselves sitting together at the same cafe where we had first talked seriously about my proposal. We were sipping tea, the warm steam rising in the cool air when I looked at her and realized that somehow she had become my favorite part of the day. The thought surprised me at first, but it was true. I looked forward to every moment I spent with her. She was becoming more than just a woman I had met by accident. She was becoming someone I truly cared about. You know, she said, breaking the silence, we've spent a lot of time together, but we've never really talked about where this is going. Her words hung in the air between us, and for a moment I wasn't sure how to respond. We had spent so many hours talking, laughing, and simply enjoying each other's company that I hadn't really thought about it. But now, with the question out there, I felt a flutter of nervousness in my chest. What if she wasn't looking for the same thing I was? Warm. What if I had misread everything? She must have sensed my hesitation because she softened her gaze, offering me a reassuring smile. I'm not rushing anything, she continued, but I think we both know there's something here. Don't you think? I nodded slowly, my heart beating a little faster. There was something here, something real. I could feel it deep down, and I didn't want to let it slip away. I think so, I said quietly, almost to myself. I think I've been feeling it for a while. She reached across the table, her hand resting lightly on mine. I don't expect us to figure everything out right now, but I think it's important to acknowledge that there's something worth exploring here. I squeezed her hand gently, a sense of warmth spreading through me. I agree. I don't know where it'll go, but I want to see. The words felt natural, and as soon as they left my mouth, I knew they were true. I didn't need to have all the answer right now. I didn't need to know what the future held, but I knew that I wanted to spend more time with her, to learn more, and to see where this connection could lead. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what we had talked about. For the first time, I felt a sense of calm about it all. Whatever happened between us, we were both on the same page, and that was enough for now. I didn't need a grand gesture or some perfect declaration of love. I just needed the certainty that we both cared about each other and that we were willing to give this a chance. A week later, I found myself standing in front of her apartment building, nervously adjusting my jacket as I prepared for another one of our meetings. We had agreed to spend the evening together, and for some reason, this time felt different. My thoughts kept drifting back to that moment when we had talked about where this is going, and as much as I tried to push the thought away, I realized that I wanted to take a step forward to see if we could build something lasting together. She opened the door with that same warm smile, and for a moment I felt my nerves melt away. Her presence always had that effect on me, like everything would be okay as long as she was around. I stepped inside and we spent the evening talking as usual about everything and nothing. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that tonight was the night I needed to say something important. As we sat on the couch, the conversation shifted to the future. Have you ever thought about what you want, in the long run? She asked, her voice thoughtful. I paused, considering her question carefully. I had thought about the future, of course, but I hadn't really considered how it might look with her in it. But now, as I looked at her, I realized that I could imagine it. I could imagine building a life with her, exploring new places together, learning new things, and simply being by her side. It wasn't a perfect vision, but it was a vision I wanted to pursue. I thought about it, I said, my voice steady now, and I know I want to keep exploring this to see where we can go. She smiled, her eyes soft with affection. I'm glad to hear you say that, she said, because I want the same thing. In that moment, I felt something settle inside me. It was as if the last piece of the puzzle had fallen into place. The uncertainty I had felt earlier, the fear of what might happen melted away. I didn't need all the answers. All I needed was to keep moving forward, step by step, and let whatever came next unfold in its own time. From that night on, we continued to grow closer. We traveled together, spent more time talking about our dreams and our goals, and slowly began to build something more than just a casual connection. The bond between us deepened, and I started to realize how much she had become a part of my life. I never would have guessed that an accidental mistake, saying the wrong word at the wrong time, could lead to something so meaningful. But looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. That moment had brought us together, and everything that had followed felt like it was meant to be. Sometimes the best things come from the most unexpected places, and for us, that first awkward mistake had been the beginning of something real, something worth holding on to. And so, as we continue to walk through life side by side, I realized that no matter what happened in the future, I had already found something special, something I hadn't been looking for, but something I was so grateful to have found nonetheless. All because of one accidental moment, one wrong word. The universe works in mysterious ways, but sometimes it brings you exactly where you're meant to be.